either.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of Out on the Road podcast. I'm your host, Ty Linker. Today's podcast is brought to you by Slickman Weld Apparel. Nate Montez, a good friend of mine, has the Slickman 820s, the 716 plus, the 820 plus. The welding sleeves, I've been using mine for a week, a little bit over a week now. Love it. It's super soft, flexible. Got plenty of arm space. It's not tight around your neck. Holds the adjustment very well. The 820s, man, I've been wearing them for, I don't even know how long he's had them out. Since day number one he's had them out, they've just gotten better and better and better. I don't wear the 716s because I'll burn them up. But the 820s hold up great. Also brought to you today by WhoaBros.us, American Steel and Sex Appeal. Got the OG FRs, the Hawaiians now. I'll let the man talk about that here in a minute. Got the steel toes. Put them in my leather, high top steel toes. Not a safety man in the world said a single word to me. They don't like them really in the low hey dudes, but the high top leather hey dudes, they had a single word said to me, and I've been on 2 jobs with them now. Easy peasy. Also brought to you by T&M Welding Supply out of Big Spring, Texas. Taos and Miss Mary, great people to do business with. Taos welded for years. Still welds occasionally. Seems to be a very busy man with his store, so he don't get as much time. All right, with that being said, the one and only Chris from WhoaBros.
Thanks for having me on, Ty. This is fucking sweet.
A little
I already cussed.
From my normal, yeah, you already said cuss word. That's okay. A little bit different from my normal cycle of welders and helpers and an operator. I can't really get operators. I don't know what the deal is with that. You would think that I would be able to get an operator, but I guess they're not chatty people. It's been hard.
Maybe not.
Hard to do. But so, Chris, you're 23. You're from what state?
Iowa. I live in central Iowa. I'm from southern Iowa, like right near the Missouri border.
I spent some time in Des Moines, outside Boone, Iowa.
Yep. Yeah, I've got friends that live up that way.
We used to go to Ames pretty regularly.
Yeah, that's Ames was actually the last job that I was on. It was a vet diagnostic lab before I quit. Man, that shit was fucking crazy.
Yeah. So before we talk about WhoaBros and we talk about anything, let's get back. We'll go to the very beginning of the story here. So you was in the military, Marine.
Yep, that's after high school. God, in high school, I was such an idiot. I was a real shitter in high school, and it was probably the best thing I ever could have done for myself. It was the people that I met were awesome, that helped me grow up. And that's the thing about being in the military is like, you have to grow up. Like if you suck, then they will let you know you suck. And that's like a big thing with after getting out, it was kind of like hard to adjust wherever, like if people were being idiots, you couldn't really do what you could do to them in the military. Not that I was doing anything fucking crazy, but
yeah. I done what they call the split op program. I wasn't a Marine, I was in the Army. So I went between my junior and senior year.
Oh, what?
My basic training.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, it was kind of court ordered. But if you're 17, your parents can sign for it. So my dad signed for me to go. I went to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, come back, done my senior year, went to AIT, messed up my shoulder and some training.
Really?
They dropped me down to reserves for 2 years, and then I was done. Out. Easy peasy.
That's crazy. I did. Huh.
They call it split
That's
off.
Super cool.
Yeah.
What was your MOS?
This has been 15 years ago. Something to do. It was like welding, mechanicking, pretty much just fooling around the shop. Like I didn't really get. I have to find my paperwork because it's been. I don't talk about it much because I don't feel like I've done anything. Like I went to basic training. And then,
oh man, I didn't do anything. I was just a tank mechanic. I didn't go see anything.
It wasn't even nothing cool. It was heavy equipment.
I think one of my friends was something similar. He was a wheeled vehicle mechanic, which the Marine equivalent is like motor T, and they just work on big ass trucks and Humvees and stuff. Working on tanks is way cooler.
I don't even know Humvee. Like we never when I messed up my shoulder, which my shoulder was already messed up from high school athletics, riding bulls, doing all that stupid shit. And so I just pulled on a torque wrench, and it just like come out of socket. And they carried me, and they not some steps, whatever it's called. They carried me there, doing some tests, and they're like, "Oh, you got some serious tears and damage in your shoulder." And it was like that. And I was back to Alabama, and then in the reserves, like they're out there.
Damn.
But so
Yeah, that sucks.
I don't feel like I've done much of importance. You know, it was this would have been 2007.
Man, yeah, no, I did not. I didn't deploy. I didn't do anything crazy like that. That's what tanks on foreign soil is considered an act of war. So putting tanks other places is not good for America. And now the Marines have disbanded tanks, actually. So there's not any tanks to put anywhere from the Marines. The Army still has tanks, though.
Our military is pretty weak right now, but that's a story for a different day. I don't really agree with all the stuff that goes on there.
Not the Marines.
So,
Marines lead the way.
So you got it. So WhoaBros wasn't your first adventure as being a business owner.
It was definitely one of the first. I had a few. I knew I didn't. I've always loved business. I love talking about the shit, and I knew that I didn't want to work for somebody else forever. So I kind of started a few different businesses at the same time, WhoaBros being one of them. I had another idea for a business called Dewey Dodgers, and it was just these single-use breathalyzers. You break these seals on them and blow in it, and these crystals on the inside change color depending on what your blood alcohol content is. And being in the military, everybody gets DUIs, drinking and driving. A lot of people drink and drive, and I think it's something that people can collectively agree is not really a super good thing to do. So instead of taking the stance of like drinking and driving is bad, don't do it, like your mom telling you shit, I thought Dewey Dodgers would be a cool idea because it's like
Dude, that would sell.
You're dodging
in the oil
dodging the DUI.
Yeah, in the oil patch of the pipeline, you would sell so much of those. People just be walking around at Rock and Rodeo there in Midland, just breaking and blowing.
Yeah, dude, and it's cool because like if you're super fucked up, the crystals turn like dark red.
Damn.
So I mean, yeah, you can.
Is this a failed adventure? Or is it something that may come about? Or?
It's something that may come about. The biggest thing is, I'm the face of WhoaBros. I love doing WhoaBros. It's so much fun. And whenever the Dewey Dodgers is doing pretty well, I got them in a few stores, and then WhoaBros is doing also pretty good. And it was more like I had to decide which business I'd have more fun running, because that's what, like, as it's not really a job. Like, I get to decide when I work. I make videos, and I have a blast doing it. So figured I'd do what's fun first, and if the opportunity presents itself, I can restart that if I want.
For sure.
I'd love to, in a perfect world, I'd get somebody else to be the face of it, but whenever you hire somebody, nobody's going to give as much of a shit as you do. So getting somebody to like speak as enthusiastically about it and like get people excited about buying something like that, I think it's hard. It's easier said than done.
For sure. You ain't try to just slip them in the TikTok shop and just not like
I thought about it. I've thought about it. And I've thought about maybe doing something with WhoaBros with them, but it's not WhoaBros, and I don't want to just like give myself a leg up like that. Like if it becomes successful, I want it to be successful on its own.
I think it's a lot of people that start businesses, and then they get to a certain plateau, and then they're, not saying that you're going to get bored with WhoaBros, but they get kind of bored because the challenge is not really there anymore. So they sell this to another one.
Yeah, and I think people just get. I don't think people think big enough is such a big thing. Like I don't think people set goals that are high enough, and that's something that's said in business. If somebody will be doing like a few $1 million in sales, and they're like, "Well, I don't know where else I can go. Like I'm doing this much in sales," and it's like, man, there's 330 million people in America. You're telling me you can't find one more person to buy your shit? No way. And that's what, like, a lot of people. When I was going to quit my job, like WhoaBros was like few months along before I was quitting my job with the steel-toed shoes, and yeah, I had the idea for the shirts, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna quit my job and sell steel-toed hey dudes and fucking make cool FR shirts. And everyone at work is just dogging on me. Like, it's such a dumb idea. Like, nobody's going to buy your shit. And, I never really let it get me down. It's more, yeah, there's 330 million people in America. I feel like I'm a really normal guy. And if I make something I like, there's probably other normal, cool dudes that will also like it. Is my whole philosophy with shit. I just put out what I think's cool, and then hopefully other people think so too.
What is your sales like? Is there like a ballpark number of how many shirts you've sold?
Man, probably
I like putting people on the spot, though. So
no. Yeah, no. This is cool. I'd probably say 4 or 5 thousand shirts.
what about steel toes? How many?
Oh, dude, God, steel toes probably 10,000.
Yeah, a guy come up to me the other day and he was like, he's an inspector out there. He's wearing the same kind of
The Hey Dude boots.
hey dudes that I got the boots or whatever.
Yeah, dude,
He
I've got
was,
a pair of those. Those things are
I
sweet.
got my steel toes in them, my WhoaBros steel toes. It's always I, like like I want out on the road to be its own brand. But one of the big things, like when me and Nate talked about it, Slick Man being part of out on the road, was like it was just like a help, like a stepping stone. Just like when I reached out to you, it's just like a stepping, like something to help brand the podcast outside of just Tylinker. Because I don't have the time. Well, I'm trying to make the time, but it
Yeah,
was
no, for sure. I mean, you make time for the things that you want.
yeah. And I like my dad said a couple of months ago, right before some other things kind of come about, was you're not going to weld forever. But he said, as many people that listen to your podcast, he's like, you just need to monetize, but your own way of doing it. And I was like, well, I just like to get free shit, which I'm good. Like I don't want the money because I'm a pipeliner, but I was going to try to nurture it now and try to do better and not try to let it feel like a second job because that's what got me 5 months ago when I released the Dakota Moore podcast was how many people was in my DMs just like when's the next one coming, when's the next, and it just I don't know, like I just wanted to be. And then you go to a job and you're not considered a, like I heard you're the one that does the podcast, you're the podcasting welder, podcasting pipeline, or whatever they said, and it just I don't know, it rubbed me the wrong way. I'm a welder first and foremost. I'm a pipeline.
Yeah, no, I totally understand what you mean. It's just, yeah, whatever people say, God, like, WhoaBros hasn't really gotten like a lot of hate or like that I've seen. There's definitely like shit here and there, but if it's a few shitty people making comments and that's all that I have to take to make an impact on shit, then so be it.
Well, like Austin DePriest, he lives in like loves the chaos and the controversy. That's what's made his page blow up. And it's not like I can take the little negative comments that's been said, but like back in the beginning, there was comments about, oh, you're just doing this to quit your job, you're just doing this to blah blah blah, and I was like, well, I'm just doing it to save stories, is what I was mostly trying to do because we're a dying breed, like like having Bernardo on or having uh, like Gerald W on here before too long. Like Gerald W is an old man. I'm not. Well, it's kind of out,
Dude, Gerald is a dog.
but he had some health problems. He's not going to be around forever, and I know he has all his
Yeah,
videos.
no, for sure.
Like I wanted an interview with him to have his like I wanted some stories from South Africa. Like I want to have
Yeah,
Gerald
dude.
in a
No, that's
balled up little ball.
yeah, that is stuff. I bet he has so many cool stories. I've never talked to him or anything, and I wish him nothing but the best. And
I just,
yeah, I bet he has some killer stories.
I've been around some old men out here in the pipeline stuff, and they're all, just the way they present themselves all the time. And Gerald Dove, he presents himself like money, and he's made a great career out of it. So.
Yeah, no, I think like even like we were talking about earlier, like it's the small things. Like he shows up, he's always like clean, like fresh pressed. Like I have a lot of respect for stuff like that. I think that's awesome.
Not to change it. But what made you decide on FR shirts and steel toes? Like, what made you decide that I'm gonna do the steel toes for Hey Dudes? What?
Well, so the steel toe for Hey Dudes, man, I don't ideas. Just I'll just be like dozing off to sleep, and I'll just get an idea, and I'm like, oh my god, I've got to write this down right now, or I'm gonna forget about it. And the steel toe inserts for the shoes that I was that's exactly what was happening. I was dozing off into sleep, and then got the idea, and I got up, put a piece of tape on my wall, painter's tape, because I just got done painting the house, and wrote steel toe kid on it. And then I went to sleep and woke up the next day and called one of my friends and was telling him about it. And he was just like, well, why the fuck would somebody want to put it in themselves? And I was like, I don't know. Like, Hey Dude found out that I was selling the steel toed Hey Dudes, like already made. So that kind of freaked me out. And, I saw the steel toes as kind of a trend, and they still do pretty well, even though I don't really advertise for them or anything. It's a lot of word of mouth still. Uh, but I just knew it couldn't last, and I knew I could make more money doing other stuff. And every time I went to go buy FR shirts, I was like, man, these all suck, and they're expensive as shit. Like all the cool ones, the Ariat one that I found one time, it was like $100, and it wasn't anything to write home about. And it's always like, people always ask themselves, like, oh, when's somebody going to do this? When's somebody going to do that? And that's what I asked myself. And then I was like, why don't I do this? I think it'd be cool. I've got a whole collection of old 90s Wrangler shirts and brush poppers and shit. So I just got those, drew some inspiration from that, came up with the first design, the OGFR, and came out with that. And then like 2 weeks before the first drop of that, I got shot in the leg.
Yeah, I was gonna get
But
shot, but I know it's on your TikTok too. The getting shot, but you want to kind of just summarize the story for the people that may be not on TikTok that's going to hear this.
yeah, so it was July 2nd. I was getting ready to go to the rodeo. The Leon Rodeo is like one of the better rodeos in Iowa. And me and my friend was sitting on my couch, and I was sitting in the chair, and he had his pistol up against his wrist. And the day before, we were talking about what we would do if we were held at like point blank range. And he said that you can push the barrel back in on itself, and it'll stop the gun from going off. And I don't know if he just didn't push the barrel in on itself enough, but it went off and went through his wrist and went into my leg. And he got up and he was like, holy shit, Chris, like, you've got to take me to the hospital. And I got up, and like, I didn't feel anything, and I just looked down, and there was a hole in my jeans, and I was like, no way. I took off my pants, my sock was bloody, and I was like, oh, I think you shot me too.
Yeah,
And yeah, and like, we were there's a video on my Instagram. If whoever's listening to this goes to the stories, like right after it happened, I took this video, and we were both like super cool, calm, and collected. Like, honestly, we're probably like two of the better people that could have gotten shot. Like, we weren't really freaking out or anything. Like, we walked out to the ambulance and everything together, and I didn't realize that I'd had a broken leg yet, but it's just like shock sets in so quick.
Adrenaline pump and stuff. So are y'all still good friends?
Oh yeah, no, right after it happened, he was a wind turbine mechanic, and he so not having ability to move his hand, he couldn't really climb up turbines. So he went on like a leave of absence with them, and he was gone for so long that he ended up quitting. And he lived with me like up until a few months ago.
Have we locked the guns up, or
No, never. This is America.
yeah?
Yeah, that's what, like, some people ask that, like, if I'm scared around guns now or anything. No, it's just, like, what are the odds I get shot twice? It already happened once, and it really.
Got struck by lightning twice in his life. So
Who?
a guy that I know from Alabama, he's been struck by lightning twice.
What are the odds it happens to me?
Yeah, I mean, you was doing for a while. You were shooting the Hey Dudes.
Yeah, those were some of my first big videos, which they were cool ideas. And man, the steel toes held up way, way better than I thought they would. I did not think that they would stop a 9. Like, honestly, I didn't know what to expect, but yeah, no, they'll stop a 9. I think they've stopped a 45 ACP. Anything bigger or faster than that, they don't really
It's not
stand
good.
up to. So
But it's the curvature of it, I think. That like they build all military vehicles are built on an angle. The same reason, I think the curvature,
yeah,
maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think like tanks and stuff. Yeah, they're built that way, and like LAVs, but those fucking anti-tank rounds that they've got, those things are scary. Or even other tank rounds.
Yeah.
Man, I'd hate to be on the receiving end of some of those. There's
So
this one. It's
uh,
called the Heat FS round, I think. And what it is it's like a straw, and it sticks in the side of a tank, and then there's molten copper on the backside of it, and that molten copper goes through that straw and just spatters everybody on the inside.
that sounds
That would
terrible.
suck. Yeah, I'd fuck that.
We'll put tar in there.
Yeah, man. Either whatever's hot as shit in there, I do not want to be a part of.
You know what's funny is that you said like what you sent me in the text for your bio. You pretty much said it word for word. I love it. Super
I did,
professional.
yeah. I've been preparing for this.
Um, so when you started posting on TikTok, like your initial bit, like how long was it before you had a quote unquote viral video? You feel like did you get discouraged
Oh
doing this?
man, no, it was almost instantly. Honestly, it was the first videos I was posting. It was I didn't have my face in it. I didn't talk in it. It's when those like robot voices from TikTok were still pretty big.
Yeah,
And I would just be like, day one of dropping something on my steel toe, hey dude, until it hurts. And I'd drop it, and that would be the video, like 6 seconds. And I made a video that, and it was like this happened in a week. And one of those videos got like 3,000 views. I went to work the next day, and I was like, oh my fucking God, like I'm famous, like 3,000 views. And a guy that I was working with was like, whoa, that's actually like kind of legit. And then I'd posted like a website and everything for people to buy them. And one of the videos like just started blowing up, and it was actually like two videos at the same time. And one of the videos, it was getting like got up to like 103,000 views, and I was like, holy shit, like I'm famous. Like I was just refreshing, watching it go up. But one of the videos that I'd posted like a few days prior was exploding into like millions of views, and I didn't realize it. So I
yeah.
was just getting all these sales, and I thought it was off this one video. But yeah, it was like one of my first videos that have gone viral, and I've gotten probably about 20 videos that have gotten over 1 million views in the past year of posting almost every day.
Can't go to it right now, but I don't have one that's at a million, but I do have one that's at 900 some odd thousand. Where I'm talking shit
Yeah.
about Benson's truck, and I don't know what I done the same thing. I done two back to back videos. One of one of going through his welding truck like a little rig tour, talking shit about just whatever. And then I done one with my truck talking the same shit. And like the one of my truck was R.I.P. Betsy, by the way. But my truck was at like I think it's at like 60 something thousand views, and his truck's at 8 or 900,000, and with 60 something thousand likes or some shit. I don't know. I just can't get
Yeah,
into
dude.
it. I wish that I could get into it. Like the latest video I posted, it's probably got like 46 or 47,000 views on it. But I just can't. I can't do and do and do and do. Like Austin said, like you gotta post, 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 post. But I just,
Yeah, it definitely posting consistently is a big thing. And that's when I was first posting, I didn't put like a lot of thought into my videos, so I could get one out pretty fast. But now, like, my videos have structure. Like, I try to have a beginning, middle, end, and try to like make shit that people want to watch, because like this is my job now, so I want to give people good content. And it is like you were saying, you posted almost like the same video back to back, and one did 60,000 and one did almost 1 million. That's just like the name of the game. It's like a slot machine, dude.
maybe I should have waited 2 weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that has like as much to do with it. It's just yeah, some shit hits and some shit doesn't.
I feel
That's like
like
that video
go ahead.
that video I posted today. It's about this little welder that I got. It's from the 1950s. It's called a Little Marvel. And what you do is you plug it in and then you fill it up with water and then you weld with it. And it's the craziest little welder that I've ever seen. And I'm hoping that video does well, but so far it's not doing near as good as the other similar videos I made, which is it's kind of disheartening sometimes, but there's not a lot you can do besides lick your wounds and keep posting shit.
The the ones with the potatoes and all that stuff. I'm like,
Yeah,
who even thinks of this? Like, okay, I'm going to synchronize all these to do a little welding with. I'm like, I don't. I'll watch them
but the
because I'm a welder and it's interesting to me. But I'm like, I never even thought of this. Like,
yeah, like putting potatoes in series, that's actually like that's something I think I'm pretty good at is relating, like taking shit that I've learned in the past and plugging it into what I do now. And the only reason I know about like batteries running in series and shit is because tanks have like six fucking
yeah,
batteries in them that all run in series. So it's like shit like that, or I don't know. I try to think outside of the box a lot because like with welding content, I feel like it is like a lot of just teaching, and there's way better people that can teach than I can. Like Nate, dude, is as
yeah,
slick as they come. I would hate to fucking teach somebody to weld as dog shit as I am when there are people that like Nate
yeah.
that make good content about it.
Uh,
So I try to differentiate myself quite a bit.
his his little classes that he's doing, I like them. I think it's very nice.
Yeah, no, dude, I think it's awesome. I think stuff like that will do well. It's
Nate,
just a matter of posting consistently, and there's a lot of little things that I do in my videos that I'm sure not a lot of people realize to like capture people's attentions. Like on a lot of my videos, when you swipe to them, there's a quick little zoom in effect, and that is a pattern disruption. So it makes people more interested in the video. It's like really little shit like that I don't know if it works, but I think it makes my videos cooler.
what's your average? Okay, on a minute or 2 minute long video, what's your average
View count?
view time? Like how long somebody?
Oh, not a lot. That's something that's super disheartening to me too. It's probably like 30 seconds.
But then they, like but then the video's been viewed for 200 hours. That little.
Yeah, that's something. Like I've gotten videos with like tens of thousands of hours of watch time, and will go and like do the math and break it down, and I'm like, holy shit, people have been watching this for like 60 days.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy.
It's super weird. It's weird how many people have like seen my face. Like my people have probably like, how they say that people in your dreams are people that you've seen in real life. I feel like with the amount of people that have seen my videos and shit, I've probably showed up in a few people's dreams. They wake up and they're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, that would be a that might be a good little video you could make.
Yeah, man, I'm always looking for ideas. I
In
just,
somebody's dreams.
yeah, I,
The '90s like little twirling arms commercials. Like the little tall balloon guy that's always.
yeah, yep,
You know, I had a dream about that like 4 months ago. One of them dudes. I don't know what I was doing, just chilling, and it's there, and there's nothing else around. I'm like, I don't know, but it just
man,
was
those dreams mean something.
doing its little thing. Maybe it was an omen for me totaling my pickup. I don't know, but
Yeah, maybe he was like, "Watch the fuck out, dude."
I don't know. That's it. I put 230,000 miles on old Betsy from Florida to Canada on the Pacific coast. I've been all the way up to, to Canada and the central part above Minnesota, and then
That's almost how far the moon is. The moon's 240,000 miles away from Earth.
yeah, a little
Yeah,
knowledge for everybody there. I didn't know that.
yeah,
Well, I probably maybe learned it back in school, but it's not something that I retain the information on.
yeah, dude. I remember so much random shit, and that's what I think like helps me a lot with stuff is
Yeah.
just being able to remember that. Like not like that specifically, but other shit that I can plug into videos now.
Um, So you said you have a laundromat. Let's talk about that. Is that still a thing that you do?
Yeah, yep. I'm actually so I bought it May 5th of last year, and it's done super well so far. I'm in the process of in the next couple weeks, I'm slated to get a new water main ran into this building and start building out a new laundromat because the space that I'm in right now just isn't big enough, and they're putting a whole development where my laundromat is now. And if I can stay in that development in another building and have a new laundromat and add new equipment and more dryers and make more money, add a wash and fold service, which I think a wash and fold service, I think that's something a lot of pipeliners take advantage of.
For sure. Dry cleaning and wash and fold. I think the whole oil
Yeah,
field in the whole takes advantage of that. Of that.
yeah, man. I wish Iowa had more pipeliners going through it, or at least where I'm at.
Yeah.
But
But do
it,
y'all have the wind farms and solar? Is that kind of y'all's area?
yeah, there. Oh man, the wind farms are everywhere out here. Those fucking turbines are such an eyesore.
Oh, they're good for the environment, bud. Good for
Man,
them.
I don't know, dude. Those things, I've kind of heard that they're shams.
It's just it's a huge sham. Okay, so you tell me. Okay, you got an engine in this thing, right? You know what it takes to run an engine? Oil and diesel, or oil and propane, or oil and natural gas, because they have an engine in them. They're not
Yeah,
not self-propelled. It's not the wind that runs them. It's a generator, which it's some sort of diesel or propane or natural gas engine. I got some buddies that do it, but it don't really. I'm not going to talk a lot about it because I don't support the big green deal or whatever it is. Oil and gas, but I know that it has an engine in it because it has the oil also run down it. How are you going to grease the damn thing if you don't have the oil patch? They people talk about getting rid of the fossil fuels, but everything that you touch has petroleum in it. There ain't nothing throughout your
yeah,
day.
no, for sure.
Maybe if you're wearing a cotton shirt, but it has to be a plain cotton shirt with no tag, no anything. But it also took petroleum to make that shirt.
Yeah, no, oil is everywhere.
I'm a natural gas guy. I don't even fool with crude oil. Like once in a blue moon, I was up in Colorado last year, and there was a petroleum line that we don't spend my money digs on. But I don't even fool. I strictly weld on natural gas lines. 90%
Yeah,
of the time.
I think we should look more into atomic energy. I don't know if you've ever heard know anything about that, but it's literally just big fucking rocks that make water hot and it creates electricity.
Well, do they use welders to do it with?
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, welding it will not go away. I think I just saw some stat that was like 50% of all manufactured goods have some sort of welding.
Oh, for sure. It's got to be a
But
crazy statistic on how much welding's involved in everything. But you also have robotics, so it has to stand out
yeah, that's a big thing
to kill
is
the robotic.
robots can come and like just do a little spot weld here and there. And yeah, but I don't know. I've kind of thought about the welders because I went to Fab or the robot welders. I went to Fab Tech last year, and they have robot welders everywhere there. But yeah, I don't really know too much about them.
You're not going to get one out into the oil patch in West Texas and it survive outside. There's too much dirt in there. It's. I feel like there's always going to be a need for a guy in a truck to do some welding. But like with the crawlers and stuff that they use on big main lines anymore, just about that.
Yeah, Nate was telling me about those.
That's kind of the way the big pipelines are done on the shacks and stuff.
Yeah,
It's still a process that has to involve a guy that understands welding or enough of it to get by to turn knobs and stuff. But it's not the same as
yeah, no, for sure. And that's what I heard would happen with, like, if something happened and all welders disappeared and there were only robot welders. That's what I heard would happen is like those welders would turn into welding robot mechanics, basically.
that's it. That's it. But I don't think it never happened because there's still going to have to be a guy.
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, and even if it did happen, it's not going to happen in our lifetime.
Thank good, thank thank goodness for that. But I think that one of the biggest things, as far as like to wrap the TikTok stuff up in the podcast or whatever. Not our conversation, but just like to why I want to do it too. I think I made like a little bit over a two welder checks last year with the podcast, and it's I don't know. I'm pretty well driven. It took me a long time to get to the point where I'm at in my field. I don't think I could let it go and just do the podcast. I would love to just fly around the country and interview welders or superintendent. I don't know. I would like to do that, but I don't think that it's something that's
Do it, dude.
I need about I need to get my accounts back up to about 30,000 listeners a month or 30,000 Spotify. There was a time I was hitting 15 to 28,000 people searching for Out on the Road a month on Spotify. That's not Apple. That's not Audible. That's not anything else besides just Spotify.
Yeah, dude, that's insane. I think just posting consistently, like there's so many people that you can interview. I bet there's so many people that'd love to sit down and share their stories. I think you could do something really good with it. And that's the thing about the trades is like, you make such good money, but at the cost of destroying your body for however many years, like it's just like, and that's what, like, I love the trades. I think the shit's dope. I think that I have more to offer to the welding community than my shitty welds. That's why I think the shirts are awesome.
Yeah,
I just lost my train of thought. We're gonna have to we're gonna have to cut this out.
yeah, no, you're fine. The shirts. I'll say that like there's an inspector I'm working with, and he's an old 798 welder, great dude. I won't say his name, but he's just a jam up guy. Well, me and him was talking. And, all these plants or facilities anymore. You got to wear FRs. If you're around lines, you're wearing FRs, right? Well, he's complaining because where I'm at in the desert, it's 100. I think it was at 105, 106 today. Well, in that case, it's probably 125, 130. Well, the other day he's complaining about it, and we're at like 98 degrees. It's probably 105 on the pad or whatever. Well, I let him try on the WhoaBros shirt, and he's like, "Man, this is way thinner," you know. So hopefully, like me and Nate was talking about, it's kind of hard to convert the old guys over that wear the Tillman gloves and wear
Yeah,
the shirts. It's kind of hard to get them to swap from what they've done for so many years. But I have given like Nate. There was a time before he started dealing with a lot of schools and stuff that he would just give me all his second gloves. They might have a missed stitch or they didn't say Slickman all the way. Just some, like
yeah,
the quality wasn't there. Which it didn't matter to me because I'm going to burn them up anyway. They're welding.
yeah. No, exactly.
So he would give them to me, and then somebody would ask me for a pair of gloves, and I'm like, here, man, they're missing this little stitch or whatever, but wear them. And I kid you not, that the next week or the next couple of days, they already told me that they ordered their own Slickman.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, like Nate has done his shit with the gloves. That is all. I'm so freaking happy that
How
Slickman
can
is
you
doing
know?
well, and he was.
I might have been talking to Nate and telling him. But it's just ridiculous how many people that I see wearing WhoaBros or Slickman apparel on job sites. It's just, I can snap pictures every day of somebody wearing either WhoaBros or Slickman or both.
Dude, it's crazy. It's surreal. It's like I don't like where I live. It's not welding central by any means. So I don't like step outside and see people wearing WhoaBros. But when I went to Western Welding Academy, it was like the first time that I just saw a shitload of people wearing it, and it was so weird. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then people just coming up to me nonstop, like, "Oh, you're Chris from WhoaBros," and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like I'd never been somewhere where I'd been so recognized, and I didn't know who anybody was. And even like a few times around town recently, I've started getting recognized. And like I went and bought some plywood the other day, and the dude that was loading me up was just like, "Yeah, you look familiar," and I was like, "Oh yeah, like TikTok," and he was like, "Oh yeah, dude, I was just watching your banana welder video," and I was like, "Yeah, man, this is where I live." Like I don't know what to say when people. It's awesome. Like if anybody sees me in public, I want them to say what's up. But I just like I get just as starstruck.
Yeah.
It's weird. Or like I was leaving the post office the other day, and this kid just like stopped in the middle of the road, like had cars behind him, and he was like, "You're Chris from WhoaBros," and I was like, "Oh yeah, dude, good to meet you." Like these people are gonna start honking pretty soon.
Yeah. Which Nate, I guess the Nate or the Nate's area that he lives in, a lot of people
Yeah,
already know him because he was a welder for so long, But I think that if he like when I was in Florida, if he'd have seen how many the second job I went to down there, if he'd have seen how many people was wearing Slickmans, he'd have been like, "Holy shit!" Because it's like every
dude.
pair of gloves are Slickmans, you know. And and I've always been big on the Wrangler, just the Wrangler work shirt, what I love to weld in. But I mean, I wear my WhoaBros shirts probably more than any other shirt now, because they
Oh
don't
yeah,
FR, they're not heavy like an FR. And I wish
yeah.
that I
No, and
was videos so I could be like, oh yeah, but I'm just not.
yeah, no. I mean, it's not anything crazy. I just wanted to make something cool, and that's like, I'm not super concerned about the old guys that they have been wearing like Martin Brothers forever, Wrangler. I'm not like super concerned about that because I know people are creatures of habit. They get stuck in their ways. I really like want to appeal to like younger people because like I am pretty young, so I think I've
Assuming,
got yeah, I think I've got like, and I think that it helps me out a lot in figuring shit out. Honestly,
yeah. So you're not like Joe Biden.
no,
No,
not
you can complete a sentence. I'm gonna stop
not at all.
right at that point. And this is another thing that I need to sort out too. I'll cut this out of here, but back after it there. But the older
Are we recording?
generations, yeah, we're back to recording on the iPad here. But that's another thing. Like working in Sirius, I got my iPhone hooked up to the mics. One mic slid down on the computer to make sure I get you real well. And then I also have my phone run to the iPad. So I've got three different audio or three different chances to catch what I'm trying to catch here.
So it doesn't. Yeah,
So
good
like me and
thinking.
Austin Priest, the my phone didn't get it good on the app, but I had my laptop sitting there recording the audio too, so I caught it anyways. That's
That's
something
good.
I learned in this. It's better to have more than one thing recording. Charge everything up, have everything recorded. So if you do miss something on one, you got it on another one. Because I can import. I can import from my computer to my iPad or vice versa.
No, for sure. Yeah, that's like when we went to Fab Tech and all of that audio messed up. Oh, it sucked so much. It was a cool experience. WhoaBros wasn't near as big as what it is now, so hopefully I have a better time this year. But just driving all the way out to Chicago to waste 2 days not getting any audio, it
Damn.
sucked. And yeah, that video, I did a little like voiceover video about everything that I saw there, and it just it got like 2,000 views.
Yeah. Have you? I don't know that T Bird and them do. I know you went to Western Welder, but like I'm gonna have T Bird on next week, which is the owner of and an instructor at Arkansas Elite down in
Okay.
Arkansas. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'd. Yeah, no, I think I'd heard of him. I haven't.
Like,
I'd never been down there.
yeah. I was gonna take a tour back in December of his school down there, but the timeline didn't work out. He was moving. A lot of things took place, and that's another thing that's kind of killed. I know I beat this dead horse, but like I've gotten better about it, about planning out a week in front of myself and sticking to it. Like I didn't get to do Austin Ross on Monday because I told him or I got my truck wrecked, but me and him are already set up for this next Monday. Well, by the time this comes out, it won't matter. But by the next Monday, we're set up again to record at the same time. Everything. I've gotten better about planning it and then setting down that time. Nothing else
Yeah,
matters.
dude.
I'm gonna set aside 2 hours, hour and a half to record a podcast at this time. I've gotten better at that
Fail to plan, plan to fail.
because I've recorded.
Seven, the 7 P's. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, dude, that was something one of my friends told me when I was in the Marines, and I use that shit all the time.
one conversation, and in a week and a half, I recorded 8 podcasts. This makes 9.
Yeah, see, dude, man, you could. I'm sure there's a shitload of other people out there that would like to
Oh,
be on here. I think, yeah, I think just nose to the grindstone, banging out as many episodes as you can whenever you have free time, and just get ahead of everything. I
yes.
think that's the best way you can do it because that's in a perfect world, I would have like 5 videos planned ahead, but I just wake up every day and I'm like, I've got to post something. So
Yeah.
I'm like scrambling, and I have like a few good ideas like in the back of my mind that I want to that I'm saving. So I'll usually just scramble to come up with something else because on TikTok I feel like views, like everything is cyclical. Like views are kind of down right now, so I want to save those really good ideas for when views are on the back up, and I think views across the welding community are pretty down right now.
Yeah. And then you got like when you're releasing a new shirt or a new product, you want to use your best ideas for that time to kind of.
Yeah, exactly. That's like this little Marvel welder. I've had this idea, or I've had this welder for probably like a month, but I've been waiting for these paisley shirts to come
Yeah.
so I can make a video, so I can make that video wearing them.
You and
But
I don't know if we can talk about this, but it may not matter because this is recorded now for 6 weeks down the road. Um, Nate said that y'all kind of been visiting on shirts, to get a Slickman welding shirt.
yeah, no, like how we did the collab with the gloves. You
Yeah.
know what Nate does good is gloves, and that's what, instead of coming out with my own, I didn't want to step on his toes or anything. Me and Nate are really good friends, and so I figured, we can both win at this, and it would help me out and it would help him out. So we just decided to collab on the gloves and came up with the Aloha 76s, which sold super well. And now we are in the works on a Slickman FR shirt, and I'm pretty excited for it, man. Whenever I got the sample and I was looking at the shirt and I was like, man, this is fucking. Why am I giving this to him?
Yeah.
Like he's gonna run me out of business with my own shirts.
Yeah. But it's good. It's good that, like, okay, I'm not going to step on nobody's toes here. But in the past couple of months here, there's been some gloves that's come out. There's been some shirts that's come out and stuff. I'm like, why?
Oh man.
Like when y'all come out with the gloves, joint collaboration. Why can't we do that across the board on a lot of things? Kind of like somebody else started a podcast. Could have been a conversation about it. Uh, just a little one, like, hey man, this is what we're thinking about doing. One of them didn't have to do it. I can see the other one doing it, but it's kind of cringe. But like, you got to have some. I understand that you need to have your name across all platforms, right? But you're not going to go tomorrow and start a podcast. Nate's talked about doing a podcast, which it would be more of him talking about lessons of welding, more of a vlog than it would be an actual podcast. But I understand why we can't just have a conversation. But and I also understand this is American. We can do whatever we want to do, anyways. But
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, and it is like almost a respect thing, and that's like BW Parts, Adam that works there. I've been talking to him quite a bit recently because he wants to send me some parts to fix up this SA200 that I bought, which is
which is dope.
awesome.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, so cool, dude. Such a cool opportunity, such a cool guy. And he sent me a few mock ups for WhoaBros hats that he made. And they're so sweet, man. If we can get something worked out with them, they're going to be some of the sweetest hats out there, I think. But yeah, he called me today and he was like, yeah, like, I don't want you to think that I'm trying to like shove this down your throat. Like, I don't want to step on your toes. Like if you want me to lay off, like that's fine. And I was like, no, dude, like whatever cool ideas I can get, like I'll take whatever. And yeah, no, he's awesome, dude. But yeah, just like him bringing it up that he didn't want to like fuck me anyways was
Uh,
cool of him to do.
and I set
But I
Sunday
know,
just for editing podcasts, right? Like eat dinner or eat breakfast, do my normal little chores, wash laundry and stuff, and then just sit around and edit podcasts all Sunday afternoon. But this Sunday, the wrench kind of got thrown into it because we worked Sunday, all day.
yeah,
Well, then I was like, okay, I'll work on it as soon as I get home Monday. I'm gonna listen to it one more time. People were like, didn't want, I don't want to turn out a terrible product. Like I want the audio to be good and all that stuff. If it's not, I want to not put it out there and go back and re-record with that person.
Yeah, that's what I do. Like I've got ideas for some designs right now that I'm just waiting for them to be perfect. Like this dragon wagon design, I wish I would have done more with it, where it's not just on the hats or on the stickers, because it is a super cool design. It's just I think I could have done more with it had I waited. And that's like this next design that I'm rolling out. Hopefully, by the time this podcast comes out, it's a Good Enough Welding Company,
I like that.
and yeah, the slogan is "We don't drug test," and then I have a phone number there, and I thought that was funny. And the phone number's like 903-392 like 9353 or something.
903 is
And
the area code. You know that?
yeah,
That's
yeah, that's why I did that. I have a bunch of friends from Texas, and that's where I sell everything is at Texas. So I thought it would work out better if I put a Texas number on there. And I actually got the phone number, and the last four of that phone number, it spells out weld. So I kind of thought that was funny.
badass.
But I want to set up a voicemail for this phone number to where people can call it, and it's like, yeah, thanks for calling Good Enough Welding Company. Do. Um, Here's like 10% off your order or something. That's what in a
Yeah.
perfect world, that's what I would set up. But right now, I'm really struggling at coming up with a voicemail because it has to be something that's shareable. It has to be something that somebody's like, yeah, fucking, you need to call this phone number because this shit's hilarious. Like, I
Yeah.
want it to be something like that, but I just cannot come up with something right now.
Have you ever kind of looked out? You know, there's people in the world that that's all they do is come up with like the little songs on the pianos and stuff. That
Mm,
shit, you know,
yeah,
jingles or whatever they call it.
yeah. It's just
It's your
I
baby,
want
man.
it to I want it to be me.
Yeah,
Yeah, I want it to be something that I come up with. Like I just like I don't want to sound cocky or anything, but I feel like I am pretty good at coming up with ideas and like original
for sure,
content.
for sure.
Uh, and people like it, and I would hate for somebody to come up with something and it's not WhoaBros esque enough. Like as shit moves on, like as it gets bigger, like inevitably I am hopefully going to have to hire people to do stuff like that. But until I'm making like $10 million a year, like it's going to be me coming up with shit.
The another thing about the podcast when I talk about it being like a second job or whatever, Nate gave me a phone number to a guy, and I'm hoping that as this progresses, like I would invite him into this room that we're in right now, and he would be the producer, and he will handle this video part of it, make the clips, boom, the TikTok, whatever, put the releases to YouTube and all that stuff, and then I just have to worry about the audio stuff. That's easy to manage, you know. One click it's to 15 different places.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely somebody out there that can do shit like that. I don't know if you've ever looked at Fiverr and stuff. Like you can find people, like you can find somebody to do anything on Fiverr and just pay them to do whatever.
Yeah, because if it costs me $200, but the quality's all there, then I'm gonna make my money back. And I mean, I get paid every 90 days from these people, so I'm eventually gonna get my money back. But
Yeah, and as shit grows,
I think I'm at like I looked earlier. Hunter's Hunter's podcast is already at like 1,100 listens, and that's on track to pass Jules pretty quick. I think the break, in a way, was bad, but it also was good. So, and then the fire that got lit up under me was also uh, a good thing, I guess. Competition's always good. I
yeah,
think.
no, dude. I actually just today, I came out with those paisley shirts like yesterday, and just today I saw the same exact pattern. So what had happened is There was a bunch of botched fabric from my manufacturer. It was just all fucked up, and I was like, I'm not using that. That is bad. Like, I do not like this shit. And so yeah, I ended up doing something else to get the paisley shirts, and we got them in. And just today, I was sitting there editing the video for today, and I got on Instagram for a second, and I saw my fucking same pattern with that botched fabric. Some other FR shirt company ripped it off, like to a T. Oh man, I was shitting myself. I texted Nate, I called him, and I was like, dude, what is going on? Like, how did this happen? And I decided not to bring any light to it. Like, there's some quote that I like. It's like, anger does more harm than the shit that you're angry at. Like, being pissed off about something and then going after somebody and, like, just fucking with them is going to do way more damage than them coming out with the shirts.
Oh, for
So
sure.
I'm not going to say anything right now. Maybe I'll change my mind tomorrow, but yeah, I fucking shit myself.
I ain't seen it yet, but I almost can imagine who you're talking about. But I'm not to say no names. There's been a lot of that stuff going on. I don't understand
Yeah,
why
and
it can't be. Why can't one person do one thing? And I understand that it's America and we can all do what we want to do, but like there's certain things that
well, and I understand it too. And it's not like I was the first person to come out with the paisley shirt. Like, paisley shirts have been around forever, but I did get this special paisley design made up, and to have somebody put that exact shit on their shirt and sell it, it was not cool.
yeah,
And there'd been a couple other times people have taken like little, like other FR shirt brands have taken little shots at me that I'm always glad. I'm glad that I never do anything about it after I cool off. Like, every time I've gotten super pissed off and done something crazy, I usually look back at myself like, what was I thinking?
yeah, for sure. They when I first, it was like it might have been the video about my truck because I didn't carry oxygen saline bottles on there, and I said because I'm not cutting shit, and somebody wrote that you can't fab, so I turned around and made this whole video of doing all this fabrication, and I was like, but can't, and I took his little clip and his little comment and put it in the video, and
Yeah,
I thought I was so high and mighty about it, and I was like. I don't really have to do that because obviously this guy has nothing going for it.
that's the thing. Yeah, people just like to get a rise out of people, and I think about, like, now that I am like in the public eye and shit a lot more, like I try to think about the person that I'd want to look up to, and I try to act in that way.
So let's talk about this a little bit to kind of start bringing everything together. At the beginning of your journey with WhoaBros, the breathalyzers and stuff, would you, if you had one piece of advice to give a young kid, entrepreneur type kid trying to get going, what would that be?
Oh, they would. Oh fuck, man. I
Yeah,
don't know. Man, I always have something to say with a question like this too. God, there's just so much shit to learn. Read. Honestly, like, that's the best thing that you can do for yourself is read. Reading sucks. Everybody hates it. I hate it too. I still struggle to read, but the amount of knowledge that you can get from somebody else through a book is unmatched. And that's like, reading is something that's pushed in the Marines a lot, and a lot of people wouldn't think that, but I don't know if you know who Mad Dog Mattis is. General Mad, oh, dude, but dog, he's
yeah.
so cool.
Is he the one that
But
said,
he
"Will somebody else will raise your children"? Is that guy?
No, that was I think that was some army officer, but that was still cool. But Mad Dog Mattis has this quote, and it goes, "If you haven't read hundreds of books, you're functionally illiterate, and you will be incompetent because your personal experiences alone aren't broad enough to sustain you. Any commander who claims he is too busy to read is going to fill body bags with his troops as he learns the hard way." And that's probably the toughest quote about reading there is,
Yeah, for sure,
but
man.
that's just learning. Having humility and being able to learn is one of the most important things. And Also, like, people get so down on themselves when they fuck shit up. Like, man, that's a part of all of it. Like, they're like, I've had a few issues like with shirt runs that come out, and like, all you can do is the right thing. Like, if I send somebody a shirt and it's fucked up, I'll send them another shirt.
Yeah.
It's not worth me losing a customer and like bad shit getting out about WhoaBros over a shirt. And honestly, like, when shit fucks up and people give me an opportunity to fix it, I feel like it's a good way to build like a lifetime customer.
Yeah, well, that's the only way to be anyway. There are about it anyways. I was on a job, and this guy come up to me, this kid come up to me, and he was like, "Hey man, my glove ripped right here. You know Nate, what can you do about it?" And I said, "Give me just a couple of minutes." And so I called Nate. He don't know, he's busy or whatever. He calls me back later that day, and I was like, "Hey man, this kid's glove come apart in his hand or whatever." And I said, "How do you want to go about it or whatever?" He said, "I got you." And so I give him the address to where I was at. And he sent that kid like, I don't know, 2 packs of stickers and like 4 sets of gloves or 3 sets of gloves or something like that. I mean,
Yeah, no, that's
it's
awesome.
handmade. You can't. Or like you said, you got your girlfriend helping you, and you're doing it. Just like Nate has his wife and him. Maybe a couple other people can stop in and help. But it takes a lot of time to unpackage every single pair of gloves and look at every little detail. Especially when y'all are getting the type of orders y'all are getting, it's not a
Yeah, it is a lot to keep up with.
you're human. It's man made. Things are going to be at fault.
Yeah, no, and that's what like 99% of the time people are pretty understanding. There are like those onesies and twosies, or people sometimes with customer support, like I do the customer support and everything. Like if you send a message on WhoaBros website, like it goes straight to my phone, and I'm racing to my phone to answer whatever question happens. But sometimes it'll be like it was like 10 o'clock one night, and this guy messaged me, and I was already asleep, and he was like, "Are you getting a restock of this shirt?" And like 2 minutes later, like he didn't get a reply, and he was just like, "Oh, so no, too bad. I was about to spend $1,000." And I was like, "God, dude, like man, like if you're gonna act like that, I don't really know if that's the kind of customer that I'd want."
Well, I mean, he's probably a welder, impatient, or some kid that thinks he's a welder and impatient.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I think Amazon's like ruined a lot of shit. Like people see online stores, they don't see who's behind it, and they just think it's some big mega corporation when
Yeah.
it is like just me.
So the middle part of it here. What advice would you give when kind of not the cards are stacked against you, but you quit your job, you're focused on this, your baby here. What's the middle of what got you pushed through the middle to take the jump? Let's say take the leap
Like
of faith into doing WhoaBros and quitting your job.
to take the jump, dude, going to quit my job was one of the scariest things that I've done. It was like, I went from like making pretty good money, like going from the military making 20 grand a year to making like 70,000, like in Iowa. Iowa's a pretty low cost of living state. So it was awesome. Like, and everybody was like, why are you leaving that good paying job to start a business? And, I think a lot of it has to do with, you can always get another job. Man, there's so many jobs out there. And everyone was like, oh, this is such a big risk. And I'm like, I don't have kids. I live in a duplex and rent out the other side. So, like, I don't have a mortgage or anything. I've got other ways to make money. Like, I feel like this is the least risky time for me to do anything.
For sure.
And it was just a matter of doing it. And that's something that I struggled with for a long time. Like, I was reading all these books, I was getting all this knowledge, and I'd have these ideas, but I would never act on them. And you just have to jump in and do it. Is that you just have to show up every day.
For sure.
That's all it is. I just posted every day. I still try to post every day and try to make my content as good as I can. And as I get more people on WhoaBros, hopefully that'll continue to get better. But yeah, literally just nutting up and doing it. It
Yeah,
sucks and it's not easy for anybody, but it is what it is. You just have to make that initial jump. And now I'm like, man, why was I even working there for as long as I was?
the I think a lot of people like even when before I become a pipeline welder and stuff. I think that you have you have a cozy little situation to go to something that's new. And I mean, the pipeline as a whole is a lot like doing what you do here. I mean, it's a gamble. Every time you leave your house or leave where you're at to go to a different job or whatever, it's a gamble. It costs you money to go do it. You know, you may or not pass your welding test, or for some guys they don't pass drug tests. But uh,
Yeah.
it's always a
Uh,
gamble. Anything in life worth doing is going to be a gamble. You know, like I'm not going to say that I'd quit pipelining tomorrow to go pursue just doing podcasts, but I know that it's a point in my life now to set up appointments or set up dates to record podcasts like the Memorial Day when everybody like when I wanted to be cooking out and drinking beer with everybody, I drove about 550 miles in a round trip to record with some guys.
Holy shit.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's like, yeah, something else is like I was talking about earlier, setting higher goals. People just, every goal that I've written down that I've been like, man, this is like, I've come up with like one goal and I'm like, I think it'd be so cool to get 10,000 followers. And then multiply that shit by 10, go after 100,000 followers. And, you know, if you go after 100,000 as fast as you can and do everything you can to get there, like you're going to be a lot further along than if you just went after those initial 10,000 in that same time period. People tell me that's not a good way to think and like you should set goals that you can attain. I don't think so one bit. I think setting high goals
Well,
is
like
something everybody should do. And every goal that I've set, when I'm writing it down, I'm like, this is unreal. Like, this will never happen. And it's happened every time.
I remember when I first started welding, I was like, man, if I could just save $10,000, you know, or
Yeah.
I think I said $8,000. If I just had $8,000 sitting in my bank account, dude, I'd be loaded. I'd be, I'd be jumping through the moon.
Yeah.
And then I had a buddy one time tell me he was like, man, I'm trying to save $100,000 this year, and I was like, what? What? People do that? You can save that? He was like, yeah, man. And he showed me his bank account, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, I'm thinking about this all wrong. But it didn't really. I'm talking crap, but like I didn't really get to where I could really save money until I got my divorce, and it wasn't like I don't feel like we was spending a lot of money. I just feel like two people spend a lot of money in the world. One is
Yeah. I mean, you think, and that's what, like, if you sit down and budget and like go over how much money you spend, like there's some shit in there that you're like, holy shit, I've been spending this much on eating out. Like, eating out's a big thing for me, and I still eat out all the time. But
I mean,
now, like, I've come to a point where, like, for the money that I make, like, it's eating out sometimes is more worth it for me. Like, just as a time thing, like throughout the day, just being able to go and grab something. And that's what the average person spends 31 hours a week grocery shopping and cooking. So
man,
being able to save that time is worth a lot to me. And that's something that I'm really big on, you know, like people, it's always, and that's how it was with me growing up too. Like, I grew up farming, is always like work hard, work hard, work hard. And honestly, I don't think working hard is enough anymore. I think you have to figure out ways to work more efficiently. And I think that helps out way more than people think. Like, figuring out ways to save yourself time and also putting extra time that you have towards more valuable skills, like learning more valuable shit, like all that shit just compounds.
the another point that I would you want to drop a couple of these books that you're always talking about.
The best book I think there is to read about business, a product based business, if anybody is going to sell shit, is Ready, Fire, Aim. It's by Michael Masterson. It is my Bible for this stuff. I, like I said, reading sucks. It's hard to get into reading. But what I did a lot that helped me out was uh, I'd buy the audiobook too. I would buy the audiobook, dude, and just read along in the book. Like, I would just force myself, I'd tell myself, like, okay, you're only going to read one sentence. And, you know, that's 90% of it is just picking it up and doing it. And if I can get into one sentence, then I can get into two, then I can get into a few pages. And anything is better than nothing. And that's what I was doing when I was at work for a long time. So I was just listening to audiobooks, and I pick up shit here and there and like throw it in my phone, and shit that I think would help me out. And yeah, Ready Fire Aim for product based business. And then if there's a book that I think everybody should read, uh, that's like self help, it's called Atomic Habits. It's by James Clear, and it's basically people will. Everybody has habits. You know, you have habits that you don't think about. Like when you sit down on the couch, you instinctively will like go grab a bag of potato chips or something, and that's just something that you don't even think about. So it breaks down into your habits into like these small incremental shits, and it's an awesome book. Everybody should read it. I did a really bad job of explaining it, but I swear it's a good book.
Um, I was talking to Nate, or well, when I went to see Nate last Monday or whatever. I was telling him, I was like, yeah, Chris is always talking about them books, but all I need him to do is sit down and read the book and voice record himself and then send it to me. I can listen to it while I'm driving. That's,
Oh man, you don't want my voice reading books
I'll
to
put it on
you.
I'll put it on the turtle box while I'm at work and everybody can listen to it.
Yeah, dude, people that's one thing that I'll get comments for is my voice. Like I've gotten comments, people are like, I just want to slap that surfer boy accent right out of his mouth. And I'm like, man, why are you so like it's not that big of a deal.
I've
And
been
I
surprised.
like I'd never been told the shit before people started commenting it, but I mean it is what it is. That's the way I talk.
I'm surprised about how many people want to listen to my voice for 2.5 hours.
Dude, no, that's like whenever you first start hearing the sound of your own voice, it sucks so much. But I've gotten used to it.
What gets me is when I say, you know how many times
Oh,
I said welcome to the Out on the Road podcast? Like 22 times now. I mean, which is a
yeah,
lot for me.
it gets me all the time. That's that first podcast I did. I listened to that and it was just all the time. So I've been trying to do less of that here.
I say the same exact thing every podcast opening up. Every one of them, the same exact way. And actually, AI generated this new thing, and I've been practicing it. A new way of going about my first little bit. You just type in all these words, like how you want to go about doing it. Then it highlights words that you're supposed to enunciate a little bit.
And yeah, yeah, and that's the thing.
Weird.
Um, I mean, I don't think it's as big of a deal with podcasts because people get into podcasts anticipating sitting for like an hour and a half or 2 hours
Yeah,
just listening to it. Um, but with videos like TikToks, especially, like
get them out
you
there.
have to give as much value per second as you can, and that's why I do the little zoom in the beginning, or I have like a bunch of other little tricks that I do that I think kind of help me out, like. People get on like scroll on a WhoaBros video, and it's always the ding 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 ding
Yeah,
Colby T. Helm song. So I kind of like try to make that a part of my brand. And Colby T. Helms, he actually followed me back, which is super cool. And I love bluegrass music, so the fact that it works so well on my videos, it's worked out awesome. And that's how I feel like just going through the shit. Like besides getting shot, I feel like I didn't really have very much adversity going into stuff
little
like
thuggish there,
shit like huh.
little thuggy there getting shot.
Yeah, no, it was sweet though. But yeah, like other than that, like I feel like I didn't really have a lot of adversity. Like shit has, and I've been very lucky. Shit has worked out very well for me
Sure.
so
Uh,
far.
I'm sure you're on the uptick. It's all going to work out. I've been trying to
Yeah,
that a lot though. The glass half. I used to always be a glass half full, not glass half empty, glass half full. And then some adversity happened in my life, and I was just on the brink. I was like, man, blank this, blank that. Everything sucks. Straight. I mean, I've always been a dickhead, but even more of a dickhead than what I should have been being. And then, I don't know, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I was like, man, this is just not worth it. It's not worth it. I'm a
yeah,
miserable person. I just got to start letting this stuff go. Slowly started cycling through it. I didn't go see a psychiatrist. I slowed down on my drinking, just started trying to cycle through things. Then I got the push on the, I guess, kicking the butt on the podcast thing, and I was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And if in 5 years I don't ever touch another stinger, and I only do podcasting all over the country, maybe Canada. I got a lot of listeners in freaking New Zealand for some reason. Apparently, they got some pipelines
Dude,
in South Africa.
uh,
I mean, I know there's a oil patch there. They like to listen to it there. Probably don't understand half of the stuff that comes out of our hick mouths, but um, Brazil's another hot spot in Mexico. I don't.
that's crazy. That's
I mean,
sweet.
Canada's probably. I think Canada's like 32%. Which there's a
Yeah,
pipelines in Canada, you know.
yeah. I send quite a few shirts to Canada, and I've sent quite a few stuff to Australia too.
Yeah,
But they get the
Australians,
cocaine rodeo stuff.
but there's I don't understand what the people. And then there's one other country I'm like 2%. What do they got going? And I should look it up and see like do they got an oil field over there? But like there's some countries
Uh,
there that it just blows my mind. Like what are you people even doing with y'all's time? Maybe y'all are just extremely bored and you're listening to it. But I hope they continue to search for the podcast. You know that's what
yeah, no, I mean it's like that's what like some farmers will say around here is they're like, I don't care if you eat your steak with ketchup, just keep eating beef. And I
yeah.
think that's a good way to like as long as there's people out there that are willing to take the shit in, then
I don't get paid from you listening to the podcast. From a person listening to the podcast, I don't get paid from that. I get paid from what they call impressions. You search the name of the podcast. You go to the homepage. You're on Spotify. That's what gets people paid. I don't have
huh.
royalties like a song. You have royalties off of. A podcast don't work that way, or on Spotify doesn't work that way. It's
Yeah,
the
I
impressions that you make on people a month, and it has to stay between like 10 to 20 something thousand. Somewhere in that ballpark gets you paid. So I
yeah,
need another 2,000 this month. And I already have it knocked out because I'm at like 9,800 and some change. So just, a couple hundred people go search it. And I did gain like 400 or 500 followers on TikTok. So maybe they're searching the podcast too.
yeah, no, I think if you uploaded some out on the road podcast clips to TikTok, I think they'd do pretty good. Just yeah,
Right.
find what stands out in the podcast, whatever sounds good, and I would just roll with it.
We, before we started recording, we was talking about it. The video part of it has been a real struggle for me. I've got like this one's so far. If it uploads, hey man, I'll be in the money. I'll have my first video podcast. Great audio from what I can tell on the iPad there. It's been great. I've been watching on the iPhone every once in a bit. I can, as long as you're still seeing the squigglies, it's been pretty good.
Have you ever thought about doing podcast live, or would that be a could that go wrong really fast?
Gerald W. I thought about this the other day. Austin Ross is a very well spoken guy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Mid state welding. He's an old 798 hand. I don't know all the details on that, but him or Gerald Dub, I don't feel like I would feel bad. I feel like I could do that live.
Yeah, I think so. If there were two people, those would probably be it.
But like, I'm not going to go get Joe Blow over here off the right of way and be like, hey man, tell me your story on my podcast and let me record it. No, sir. No, not live. I'll record it where I can edit it, but I would never do it live.
Yep, that's fair.
Like my
Doing
buddies, back when I first started doing this, one of the first episodes, I'm not going to say the episode, but one of the first episodes, they was doing some things, and I had this microphone, and I was so proud of this microphone. I could hook to my iPad, and I could record, set it on the table, and I could record. And I told them that MFer will pick up every little noise because I've already been testing it. Like I would
yeah,
go to the front of my camper, which is 40 foot, and make a noise, and I could hear it on that microphone in the living room. So I was like, man, this thing's got to be enclosed quiet. And I told them that. Didn't matter. You can hear it all throughout the podcast. If you listen, you can hear it, what they're doing. I'm not going to say what they're doing, but you can hear what they're doing in the podcast. And I was like, but that's back when I didn't care. You know what I did? Like 2 days later, I said, submit, publish. Didn't edit it.
that's
Nothing.
awesome.
Just send it to the world. But then,
Well, yeah,
oh, go ahead.
I mean, I think people like that. I think people like the raw shit, and that's what I tried to do with WhoaBros, like the cocaine rodeo stuff. Like I tried to do stuff that'll make people talk, and I think the cocaine rodeo shit is awesome, or the saloon and whorehouse. But yeah, I
Yeah,
think people like that raw shit that comes out
it
now.
was great, but at this, there's certain things. I am a like I like to think I'm a professional. I have a job that requires me to be a professional, but I am also not all of us. But I will say that 7 out of 10 welders more than likely are white trash someplace in their family tree.
Yeah, fair.
If you're that goes to the Caucasian side of things, but it's part of it. It's but then I talked to somebody like Gerald Dove, and I call him Gerald Dove. Probably shouldn't, Mr. Brewster, Mr. Gerald. But I talked to him, and he's so professional and so well spoken and stuff. I'm like, God, I want him on the podcast. Can't wait to have him on the podcast. But when he said, "Son, I love what you're doing, and I enjoy it, but can't be doing all that foul language." I was like,
See,
man, it's like getting spanked by your daddy, you know?
man, yeah, no, I've got a lot of respect for that. I think that's all. He will stand on what he believes in. That is so cool,
I look
and
forward.
that's yeah. I think that'll be cool. I'm looking forward to hear it. I think Gerald W. Brister is
Like I told him, I said I'm not
awesome.
going to record with a person and tell them how they. I'm not going to say here. The only thing I've ever said about when it comes to my podcast that I don't want people getting on here bashing companies. I've done it, but that's my own right. You don't have. You don't. They don't have to agree. But when I've been feeling the type of way, I've said some things about some companies. I don't want to bash gas companies, that pay our bills, but pretty much everything else is on the table. I don't care if you drink. I don't care if you smoke. I don't care whatever you want to do. That's your own image, not my image. I'm just giving you. I just want to record your story. So it's maybe it is considered to be my image too, and I really don't care. Not especially now it's a video. You know that I'm not sitting here to do it. I mean, I've been smoking my vape, having me a drink. There's been some times where I got a little too drunk during the podcast, and so I cut back on the on some of it because there was a time there were some slurred words and stuff in there. I left it, but I didn't want to. You know,
I know that's. I feel like that's how I talk, just in general, is
yeah,
just run shit together. And that's like in my videos and stuff. Like I always try to talk fast. Like I always like want to keep people's attention, and I think that's a. I don't know if it's the best way to go about it, but it's what I do.
uh, so to kind of wrap everything up, I know you're busy, and I'm not really that busy. But to wrap things up, uh, if you're going to give some solid advice as far as like once you hit a well, I guess can't really ask you that question either. This point in your career, I know the reading books and stuff's important, but like, what's one thing that's not? I'm most times so good at asking really good questions. Like it's not a highlighted thing, but you feel like it's important. Like reading
Yeah,
is important, but
yeah,
you
but
know,
something not as important that is still really important. I'm coming up with something.
yeah, I like the stone. I like this. I try to find one question in every podcast to where they're just like they have to think on it for a minute.
Well, yeah, like I don't want to give like some bullshit answer, and that's all that I feel like I'm coming up with. Like I feel like just
It don't allow somebody to give a generic answer.
yeah, no, I know. I want to say like fucking just do the right thing or fucking yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's important to know what your time's worth and not spend it doing dumb shit. Like I know like and I'm really bad about it too, like getting on TikTok, just scrolling for hours. It's so easy to do, but just knowing like, man, if could you tell me the last 10 TikTok videos that you've swiped through? Probably not. I can't, and I'm sure most of the people listening to it can, or Instagram or whatever. And just putting time towards better things. And that's like I know like I used to drink all the time. I used to drink like a freaking fish, especially in the military. But since I've gotten out, I just don't want to make time for it. I can't afford to be hungover in the morning. I like always like to try to be on my A game. Like if anything happens, I like to be there, and I like to not be fucked up. Like,
For sure.
especially now that I am in like the public eye and I own a business in a small town. Like, if I got pulled over, freaking had some nose beers in my pocket, I'd get hemmed up all across town.
Yeah, for sure.
So just shit like that, and yeah, doing the right thing. I'm a super big believer in karma. Like, I don't know if you ever watched My Name Is Earl.
I've seen a few episodes of it.
Oh, dude, that is my favorite show of all time. And
That
that's
seems
like
like something that somebody from Iowa would enjoy that show.
My Name Is Earl. Yeah, dude, it's an awesome show. I think growing up watching that, like with my dad and stuff, I think that was something good that happened too. And allocating time towards shit that you want, I think, is something big. So for a little while, what I would do is it's called time block planning, and I would just plan out my day the day before and break it down into like 30-minute increments on everything that I want to do that day and try to get it done. Now, what I've kind of adopted is I just make a list of everything that I need to do, and then I wake up and bust that shit out as fast as I can. And that's what a lot of it is. Is people are like, "Oh, how much money are you making? How much are you doing this?" And I try not to pay that much attention to it because I just hope that if I put my nose to the grindstone, bang the shit out, that people will like it and the money will come afterwards. Like, I'm just putting so much money back into WhoaBros right now to get new designs coming out, and these shirts are so expensive
Yeah,
uh, just to produce. So I've got a lot of money tied up right now, which I'm thankful for. Uh, and I live so far below my means, and I think that's something important too. Is just not spending money on dumb shit. Like, I feel like there's so many people that go out and get like $100,000 truck. God. And then there's people that are like, oh, I want to get something that's reliable. Man, I feel like some of those new trucks, new cars, they aren't as reliable as anything else. Like, I want to go buy this 12 valve Cummins. You want to talk about reliable?
yeah. The one thing I've learned, like even with welding, is if you invest an investment in yourself is always the way to go.
Oh, yeah, dude. Investing in yourself is the most important thing you can do. And that's like, yeah, even reading books, like people are like, books are expensive. And I'm like $30 for this book. There's hundreds of millions of dollars worth of knowledge in here. And I think a lot of people just they don't see the value in it, which I understand. Or people are like, oh, I just watch YouTube videos about business. And I feel like that's a lot like, it's like drinking a V8 versus eating your vegetables. Like, your brain is a muscle and you can exercise that shit by reading.
For sure.
And I feel like, I feel like anybody would look at me and be like, this is not a dude that even knows how to read. But, and I don't. That's why I can get the audiobooks and read along.
For sure.
They can get through that shit way faster than I can.
So what can
But,
people? Go finish up there.
oh, I just like, I want to be successful. I want money. And everybody that is successful and has money, they read all the time. So who am I to fuck myself out of reading?
Sure. What can we expect from WhoaBros for the rest of 2024?
2024, I'd like to get 10 FR shirt designs like in stock at all times. I think I put 8 different t-shirt designs on whenever I came out with this earlier this year. And then I want to start getting into some other products, honestly. I think it'd be cool to get into some arm pads. I think I have some cool ideas to put some twists on them to make them badass. Or I think it'd be cool to get into some welding hoods, and that's something that I'm kind of working on the back burner right now. Is coming up with some pancake hoods.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that the other day.
Yeah, I think that would be sweet. It's just a few other ideas that I like. Oh man, dude, I've got this one idea. I think this shit would take. I think I could make $100 million on it. I don't know how I want to go about it yet, and I think I want to have the FR shirts very established before I do. So that might be something in 2025, but
Yeah, I've got T-shirts coming for out on the road. Uh, by the time this comes out, the website will be up. Koozies, stickers, T-shirts. Probably won't do hats yet. I'll probably just keep the 2T hat. That's really about it. That's not even about making money because anything that's made on the T-shirts, going right back into that shit again. It's not even. I'll never see a dime of it. My buddy Drake in Lubbock's handling all that stuff. The website, everything is all him. So it's just a cycle of it. I mean, I guess eventually I may not have to have it that way, but for now it's just you go there, you order it, they'll print it, ship it to. Well, it'll go to this other place, get shipped to you. I won't ever see it, and I like it that way.
Yeah, no, that'll be badass.
The
Coming out with
biggest
t-shirts was
thing is
awesome.
getting the freaking podcast branded this year. I
Yeah, there's
have,
a
I have over 100,000 listeners. I would like to be at 400,000. I don't know if there's that many people.
man, dude, shoot for 1 million.
Yeah. I don't know if there's
Just
that many
go.
people interested in it. I mean,
Oh man, we were
it's just,
just 330 million
yeah.
people in the world in the U.S. 8 billion people in the world, and you think that shit's gonna cap out at 400,000? Fuck no.
Okay, then I'll go
That's what I'm talking about. Set higher goals. I
higher.
think it's you,
I would
dude.
like
You'll
to,
surprise yourself. I promise.
I'd like to get to 10 or 12, or let's say, I would like to have. I'm not going to support Apple on this, and they can take me off there if they want to. But I would like to stay in that 30,000 a month Spotify impressions. And there was a time I was doing it. I just got to get back to that point.
Shoot for 300,000.
300,000, that'd be dope too. But
Man, so there's podcasts that do it.
oh yeah, Joe Rogan. There's no telling. I've never looked at his thing, but and it may not. I don't know if it's even public knowledge, but
Yeah, I'm sure he has way more than that.
dude, there's no telling.
And that's what, like, and people like looking into other people's lives and seeing what they do. So, and as like, I think moving forward in the future, I think like being in the blue collar space right now, I think is awesome. Like, I think more and more people are not going to college, not going that route, and more people are getting into the trades and making good money. I think like, and like the blue collar revolution and shit that Western Welding Academy is doing, like, I think blue collar and the trades in the next 10, 15 years are going to explode.
The only thing that I can say about Western Motor that I don't like is the $27,000 price tag to go to school there.
Yeah, and
You can come help me for a year and make anywhere from, well, I don't know, you probably average about 80 to. If we worked all year, it would be from 65 to 100, somewhere in that ball game, and you'd learn how to weld at the end of the year and be a solid welder. But
yeah, no, and I think like there's something to be.
there's kids that come from their mom and dad's house that have no business coming to a right of way, for sure. And then there's kids that come from their mom and dad's house where their dads work their ass off every day that need to just come out here and do this job. Get with a welder, and maybe the first welder you work for is not the right person for you. It takes some meshing to get the right fit. But
Yeah, no, that's something, man. I'd been lucky showing up to job sites. Most of the time, people liked me, but there's this one guy. His name was Doug. Absolutely hated me, and I had no idea why. And he was such a dickhead to me all the time. Like
yeah,
anytime I'd ask a question, he just like. So we were up in this pipe rack, and we had to run this pipe through, like, in between these two other pipes, like they're like stacked up on top of each other. And yeah, I can't remember. There was like an 8-inch gap, and it was 6-inch pipe, and it was getting like 4 inches of insulation or something. Either way, it wasn't going to be able to go through that shit. And I was like, "Yeah, Doug, like, I don't think this is going to work." And I was just crawling around up in this rack, and he was like, "Get the fuck down, like, you don't listen to a goddamn thing I say." And I was just like, what the fuck? And so I jumped down, and then he got up there, and I was just running around fucking grabbing his shit. And he was just up there pissed off, and he was like, "Hey, it makes for a long day down there, doesn't it?" And I was like, "Man, fuck you." And like at that point is when like WhoaBros was like starting to get traction. So I was like, "Man, I should just fucking drag this shit right now, like this motherfucker." And but I didn't, and I kind of wish I did, just to like make a point. But as much as Doug did not like me, and I didn't really care for him that much, I would still try to like have conversations with him, like try to be civil. And um, I like asked him, I was like, if there's a piece of advice you could give me, uh, what would it be? And he was just like, don't get married. And I was like, ding, ding, ding. There it is. He fucking hates his wife, so he takes it out on me.
Yeah, for sure. Probably an alcoholic too.
Yeah, no, he was not a cool dude. But you run into people like that at water under the bridge.
For sure. A lot of people get disheartened quick in the trades, but it don't have to be that way. Old men are
You
old men.
know, it's pretty easy to. Honestly, I do think it is pretty easy to, because there's just so much to learn, and you're there on the job trying to learn this shit, and you have no idea what's going on. No, I can definitely yeah, it can definitely get disheartening when you're first getting into the shit.
I guess all your social media now is WhoaBros,
Yeah, WhoaBros.us.
WhoaBros.us. Then, of course, I'm going to drop one more. Slickman, Slickman.com, SlickmanWeldApparel.com. I got to get better at knowing all my stuff. But I appreciate you coming on. Give me 2 hours. Well, it's over 2 hours of your time because we didn't start recording instantly.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on, Ty. This is badass.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. I got 6 to release. I'm gonna try to get Max out tomorrow. Probably wait till Friday, but it's edited. One more listening. It's out there to the world. It's supposed to be on Mondays. Trying to get a routine of releasing every Monday, but my fucking truck's out there busting the shit. So
Yeah, that sucks.
yeah, it's rough. It's
But
tough seeing what you work so hard. Now it's joy, but hopefully we're gonna get a
yeah,
new get the cab fixed, then Betsy will be back on the road making them checks. But we'll see.
it all works out in the end. If
I
it
don't have
hasn't
to
worked
pretend it.
out, it's not the end.
You can, you know, go to Spotify, listen to the podcast. They'll write me a check and I can pay for my road truck.
Hell yeah.
She was already paid for, but it sucks. But all right, well, I appreciate it, Chris, and we'll be chit chatting.
Yeah, thank you, Ty. Talk to you later.
Stop this. Stop.
Is it done
All right,
recording?
we're still recording on here. That's okay.
Oh.
I think I can stop it now.